That has shifted the balance of power in the House and the country. The balance of power in the state in terms of the Senate race all went toward Ted Cruz late in the race tonight. Understand Mr. Cruz is on stage. This is Houston, the acceptance. Let's listen in.
Texas saw something this year that we've never seen before. This election wasn't about me, and it wasn't about Beto O'Rourke. This election was a battle of ideas. It was a contest for who we are and what we believe. It was a contest, and the people of Texas decided this race. We traveled every part of the state, from East Texas to West Texas, from the Panhandle to the Valley. And the energy, the excitement we saw was incredible. Just a couple of weeks ago down in the Valley, in Harlingen, 2,000 people coming out. In Mission, 2,000 people coming out. In El Paso, 2,000 people coming out. And what was truly amazing, at many of these events, we would ask, how many of you here are former Democrats? And we would see hands throughout the room, as we're seeing hands now, because Texas came together behind a common sense agenda of low taxes, low regulations, and lots of jobs. Securing the border and keeping our communities safe, and defending the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that is a common sense agenda that unites Texans from every part of the state. It was your hard work. This is a victory for the single mom who's been waiting tables, who suddenly sees her wages going up because the economy is booming. This is a victory for the oil field worker who sees now that the United States is the world's top producer of oil. This is a victory for all the kids who are seeing their parents. In the last 2 years, 4 million people have come off of food stamps. Stop and reflect for a moment the lives transformed. People who had been dependent on government for basic food needs now have jobs and get to come home carrying a bag of groceries. Get to come home and look at their kids and say, I'm providing for my family, and their kids get to look up at mom, look up at dad, and see the hope. This was an election about hope and about the future, and the people of Texas rendered a verdict that we want a future with more jobs and more security and more freedom. I want to take a moment also to thank my wife, Heidi, who is my best friend in the world and who, in the course of this campaign, shouldered responsibilities at work, at home, juggling 1,000 balls backwards on a unicycle. And I want to thank our girls. I want to thank Caroline and Catherine. It is hard having dad on the road all the time, having mom on the road all the time. It is hard, and these girls pay a price. And girls, Mommy and I love you with all of our hearts. And I could not possibly be prouder of the two of you.
Listening into Senator Ted Cruz speaking directly to his children, and just before that his wife, and thanking them, the family that sacrifices so much in any political run, obviously, no matter what side of the aisle that you are on. So Ted Cruz speaking tonight live in Houston at this hour after being declared the winner. I want to bring in CBS 11 political reporter Jack Fink. So we had a feeling, and a lot of pundits had a feeling, that the race would be tight, and it was tight for a while. Beto O'Rourke held the lead for a considerable part of the night, but then everything started to push heavily toward Cruz's side. Interesting to note, too, Cruz, $33 million. Beto O'Rourke, over $70 million and it still goes the Republicans' way in a Republican state, obviously.
Doug, at the end of the day, this is still Texas.
That's right.
It is a conservative state. A Democrat has not won statewide in Texas in 24 years. It is tough to do. Looking at the numbers now, we can show you Cruz 51% to O'Rourke, 48%. And this is about 57% of the precincts reporting. And so while Democrat Beto O'Rourke led for the early part of the night, as Doug said, that was a reflection of the early voting where more Democrats usually cast their ballots. Republicans historically have come out strong on Election Day. And while O'Rourke excited a lot of Democrats, brought them out, raised more than $70 million, nearly double Cruz's $40 million, somewhere in there, in the end, it came down to the issues. More Texans agree with Cruz than O'Rourke. Tax cuts, as he talked about, border security, and Cruz really went after O'Rourke on supporting NFL players and who took a knee during the national anthem last year. The other thing that I think is O'Rourke's strategy of attracting progressive Democrats looking for new and young voters appears to have fallen short. Some analysts wondered aloud why O'Rourke did not go to the middle more and portray Cruz as someone who's on the extreme right. And so now this race certainly was a lot closer than many Republicans wanted to do. I think they're going to go back and take a look and see how they should respond because a presidential election's coming up in 2020. But for now, a win is a win.
Right. And the bottom line, also, a lot of people say this is not the last time you're going to see Beto O'Rourke either.
Well, no, and of course he was asked about whether he's going to run for president, but one of our panelists on Facebook Live tonight, Miguel Solis, Dallas ISD trustee, said he's going to be under a lot of pressure to run for president. Yeah.